Hi everyone, welcome back again to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got this card for you. It's a flip card. Okay, so it goes across to the back and we cut out a punch, and I'm just going to show you how to align this up so that when it's closed most of your image will show. And I've coloured them in the Stampin' Up blends. And this is the garden trellis embossing folder. So let's get started because the measurements are a lot different to what you're used to that I would give you. So you need one big piece, and you'll notice I've already embossed it. One big piece which measures 11 inches by 3 inches, and then that gets scored eventually at 5.5. Okay. Then you need a piece of Whisper White, which measures 3.5 inches by 5 3/8. Sorry, so that's 3.5 inches by 5 3/8 of an inch. And then I've got a piece of Cherry Cobbler, which measures 4.25 inches by 5 3/8 of an inch. Now, I went ahead and embossed the front with the brick wall embossing folder. Now when you put your embossing folder on here, just line like your score lines there. So I hope you can see the score lines just above the brick wall embossing. So I've left a really tiny bit, so don't emboss right on that crease line because it won't sit nicely if you do. So now the first thing we're going to do, so just pretend we've embossed that. You can use any embossing folder you want. Now, because obviously sometimes when you watch my videos, if I've done them quite a while ago, the embossing folder mightn't be available. So you just use whatever you've got there in your craft room. So then with this, we want to do a 2-inch circle punch out, like on this one. And you can see how I've really got that punched centered. There's a bit of a tip for that. What I do is I took a piece of scrap, piece of the cardstock, and then I grabbed my 2-inch circle punch. And if you go down this way, you can see that the punch from this side to this side is pretty much exactly 3 inches, and that's what we've cut the cardstock to. So by lining it up as well as you can on both sides and then just punching that out, that will give us, punched it a bit close to the top, but that's all right. So when we want to, we'll fold that, and I'll just crease that a little bit on the back. And that's another reason to have the embossing folder a little bit down from the fold line, because if you're using your bone folder and you're really pressing hard on there, it's likely to fray your embossing. So that's another reason. So now we've got this template, and you just got to work out how far down you want your circle, and I want mine to be about there. So I'm just popping that there, and then what I do is I just go around the inside with a pencil. Just needs to be roughly. So then I get my 2-inch punch, open this up, and then I can go in from the side and I can just line up where my pencil mark is. and punch that piece out. And then that way we're getting the circle just about in the centre of the card where we want it. Might just zoom you out a little bit. There we go, that's better. So there, so that's that part done. Then we're going to glue this piece on the Whisper White onto the cherry cobbler. Actually, what we'll do first is just pop that under there. And just eyeball it and just see if you can have about the same Whisper White showing each side. And then we're going to get our pencil again and we're going to just go round like that. And that tells us where we want our image stamped. So then I'm just going to grab the Stamparatus. So I want it to be about there. Now you won't get, it doesn't matter if you get some of the image outside the circle. So we're just going to stamp that up. We're just going to stamp that up. Where's my stamp case? It's going to go underneath there. And we're just going to stamp that up in Memento ink. And then we're just going to bring it down, give it a good pressure. Only press down where the stamp is, remember, with the Stamparatus. Don't press down over here. And you can see a real little bit's gone out of the circle, but not very much at all. Then we're just going to press that down again, just so we've got a nice image, crisp image. There we go. So then we just remove that out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is get my rubber and just erase that pencil mark. Now we're going to, you don't have to colour it, you could just have it plain, but I think it's nice to have a little bit of colour. So I'm just going to add a little bit of colour with the Stampin' Up blends. You can use colouring in pencils, Stampin' Up stamp writers, aqua painter, and do a water wash if you want to. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. So I'm just going to take, and this isn't going to take very long, but I'm just going to take a little bit of crumb cake on my doggy, and I'm just using the bullet point end because it's a very small image, and I'm not doing any blending, I'm just adding a little bit of colour. I just think it looks nicer than just having the plain white, black on white. So there's our little dog. Then we're going to just, actually I'll use the brush end this way so that this is just the grass. Quickly just
the artist has already done all the work for you, so you know where to put your colour. Just under the tractor there. And this is, in case I didn't say earlier, this is the Heartland Stamp Set from Stampin' Up, which is this one here. I used this image for the first card, and now we're using the tractor and the little dog. So I'm going to take the cherry cobbler, and we're going to have a really bright tractor. I have seen them, the red tractors, sitting in the paddocks around where I live, so you don't have to be fussy, you're just adding a bit of colour. And once again, the artist has done all the work, so it makes it very easy to know where to apply the colour. So we might make the seat red, cherry cobbler red. And then we'll just grab some light smoky slate and just do this, the rest of the tractor. Actually, I might use the brush end. So it's already got a lot of black in there, but we don't want the whole tractor to be red. So just the engines under there. So then all we need to do is add a bit of colour to the wheels. So I'm taking the darker smoky slate, and I'm just going to add some colour to the wheels there. So I'm just going on the very outside of the wheel and then just coming in. So trying not to go outside the lines. So that's quite the dark, this is the dark smoky slate. And I just find it so easy to colour with the blends, and that really highlights the wheels, that smoky slate colour on the tractor. So we're just going to go around this one. Just got to be a bit careful on this side because it's quite a thin area that I want to colour. Literally just putting just literally one stroke going right round did the job. And then there's another tyre just under there. So we'll just do the outline of that so you can see that. And then we might just get the dark crumb cake, just go in the middle. So just under there a little bit, and then just in this one. So you can see the markers are nice and juicy, so and you could apply a little bit of Winter Stella if you wanted to. So now I'm going to just stick that, glue that to the piece of cherry cobbler. So it's a really easy card once you know the measurements, and a couple of tricks to getting that circle punched nice and in the centre. So I'm just lining that up with any grid line at all, so I can just bring this down. So just trying to centre it as much as I can. So that would normally be your front piece of your card, but this one is just a little bit different. So then we've got the lovely cherry cobbler border coming up the side, and now what we want to do is we want to adhere the navy blue, so you've got the tractor right in the centre there, like that. So what I like to do is, because I really want that back, because the front's been embossed and we've cut out a circle, I like to put tear and tape on the inside of the back of the cardstock, so it's not going to come off. So it gives it something really good and strong to stick to. So I usually just put, I don't go right to the bottom here, because once you've folded down you'll have glue showing. So just basically just a little bit from the bottom. And as we know, once we stick it down with tear and tape, it's not going to come undone. So we'll just take those strips off. Oops, pulled up a bit of the cardstock there. There. Okay, so then let's get that over. Now we need to get this, so you don't need to see the hole at the top at the moment. So I'm just going to put the score line going right along one of the grid lines, and then I'm just going to eyeball it for it to go down. So about there, and there's no bringing it up once you've got it down there. And then you just bring that flap over, and that's the card so far. I think the cherry cobbler and the night of navy, it's just, they just go so well together. Now what I did as well was using my 1 3/8 of an inch scallop punch. I stamped a happy birthday sentiment, then I punched it out with my 1 3/8 of an inch scallop punch, and then using my 1.5 circle punch, I punched a piece of cherry cobbler out. So I'm just going to pop some dimensionals under there. And I should have my tweezers so that I can just pull those off a bit easier. Then I'm just going to pop that in the centre of the cherry cobbler piece, so it's just got a nice border around. So we've got our sentiment. And then all you have to do then is pop the happy birthday on the card and we're done. So it's just a bit of a different card to what I normally do. So just make sure the sentiment stays on the front piece of the flip card, that you don't glue it to the white piece, otherwise your card won't open. So there we go, that's your flip card. So I hope you'll give that one a try. It's quite an easy one once you know the sentiments, but it's just a bit more of a wow factor. And that's the one I did with the boy and geese, and this is the one with the tractor. Both of those images are from the Heartland Stamp Set. So I hope you'll give that technique a try, and I hope you enjoyed that video for today. And thank you once again for subscribing to my channel, and until next time, happy crafting!